Students, in this section, in this chapter, I will first of all review some of the concepts which we have discussed before about Omani ecosystem. Remember, there were two important objectives of this chapter. The first one, that as a young entrepreneur, as a new entrepreneur, what are the regulations and what are the procedures for opening a new company in Oman? So you would be opening your company as a small or a medium enterprise. The second objective was that we should know what are the major or important training and funding sources in Oman. So if you remember, we have gone through the process of opening a new company in Oman. Let me just refresh it for uh, so that you can remember those steps. And other than that, we also talked about different type of companies which can be opened in Oman. So after discussing it, then we will discuss about the intellectual property rights and the tax laws or bankruptcy laws in Oman. In this first module, I will just refresh you for point 1 and 2, that is the legal process of starting up a business and the legal forms of companies or incorporations. How many type of companies you can register legally in Oman. So if you remember, the first thing to start up your business is to get the commercial registration from Ministry of Commerce and Industries. If you see the cursor, I am actually pointing it out to that CR, the commercial registration certificate, which is available from which you can actually do for Ministry of Commerce and Industries. Remember, this is actually something which is to declare the place where you are going to start your business as a commercial place. The second thing is that you need to then register with Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that is Oman OCCI. For registering with OCCI, you may need some clearance certificates from either ROP or maybe from some authorities like Environmental Protection Authority. They would clear it and they will give you a clearance certificate that they have no objection over your starting up business in that locality or in that municipality. So after that, you can register. So the legal steps are, first of all, you must have a trade name, that is a business name. Remember, in Oman, you can have a name of a business which is not already registered. You cannot have a name of your business primarily on the name of that city. You must need to have, if you want to use the name of a sur, then you have to add something to it, for example. So in that case, there are some rules, there are some laws which you need to abide for providing a trade name. Then there are some documents which you need to submit to Oman Chamber of Commerce. The first one is the registration form, including the trade name as well. Then it depends what type of company you are going to open. So if the company is a sole proprietorship, sole proprietorship means a single person starting a company, then in that case, you the one person would be the owner of that company. So in that case, you just need the ID of that person. That person who is starting a business will be attaching the copy of his ID card. But most of the time, you will be having some partnership company. Partnership company means there are more than one person who would be the owner of that business, or in other words, there are co-owners in that business. In that case, you need to have all the partners' ID copies with you for the purpose of registration. Then there is a signature form. It's a specimen signature form, which means all the partners If there are, they will provide the specimen of their signature. This is for the purpose of banking transactions. So in banking transactions, maybe one or two partners are allowed to sign on it so that the checks would be cleared or the transaction can be executed. In that case, the legal signatures would be in the record of Oman Chamber of Commerce, and of course, these would be shared with the banks as well so that they can just match it whenever a check comes for the clearance from that business. Then there is the clearance form. I told you about it that ROP, maybe for fire and safety purposes, you need a clearance form from ROP, and you may need some specific form from either from the municipality, government, or maybe from the Environmental Protection Authority. It depends upon the nature of the business. And of course, you have to pay the specified registration fee. Now, with for the purpose of this affiliation or registration with Oman Chamber of Commerce, you need to take that signature form, you need to take the commercial registration certificate, and you have to pay the fee. Of course, in Oman Chamber of Commerce also provides a one-stop shop OSS application. This app is available on the mobile phones, and actually you can use it to upload different documents. So it's a one-stop shop. What does it mean? It means at the first step they will ask you some documents which you will provide. If you provide those documents, then you can move to step 2. And if step 2 you provide the documents, and if they are verified and if they are complete, you can move to step 3. So in this OSS system, I would say it's not the in the perfect form right now, but it's a good system improving at this point of time. You may require just to visit OCCI once because of this system. So in this case, you will be registering your company very conveniently, and it provides you information in a timely and effective manner as well. Okay, now let us go through different type of companies which can be opened in Oman. So the first one is the sole proprietorship, or you can call it a general liability company. I would not call it a joint stock company because it is a company which is owned by one person. If you see the hexagon in a green, if you see my cursor, you will see that it's a one owner company. So it's a sole proprietorship, essentially a sole proprietorship. And what is a good thing about this sole proprietorship? The good thing is that it is easy to start. That means it's just one owner to the company. He's the one who will be registering that company. So there are less legal processes involved in registering a sole proprietorship. Okay, what is the challenge in it? So the challenge is in this dark brown hexagon. The challenge is that for a sole proprietorship, the owner of the company is actually liable for the whole business debts. What does it mean? It means, for example, the business had a bank loan of 20,000 riyal. Now, if the business goes into the liquidation means the business is closing down. So the business is no more. What will happen? At the time of liquidation, the owner will sell the assets of the business. So now the owner would sell the furniture or the car in the name of a business, or air conditioners, or different things which are the assets of that business. Let's say the bank loan is 20,000 riyal, and after selling the business assets, the owner is able to get only 5,000 riyal. Now, the remaining 15,000 riyal would be paid personally by that owner. What does it mean? It means the person own the owner's own property or the personal accounts or personal assets would also be liable to that business. So in case the owner is not paying the amount, beg through the court of law, can actually sell the property of that person. That means they are personally liable. This is a big thing. Had it been a partnership company, in that case, the liability would have been shared by different partners. So sole proprietorship, easy to incorporate, but at the same time, the liability is at the highest, I would say, because one person would be liable for the whole business debt. Okay, the second type of a company, which is more very common in Oman, very common in Middle East, very common all over the world, is a limited liability company, LLC. For example, Oman LNG LLC, Saud Bhawan LLC, Suhail Bhawan LLC. Google is also an LLC company. Now, what is LLC? LLC, of course, is a partnership company. It is a type of a partnership company. So for this partnership company, in order to incorporate an LLC, the minimum number of partners should be two, and the maximum cap is 40. That means you can have from 2 to 40 limited partners, not more than 40. So, what is a good thing about limited liability company? Partners have a limited personal liability for the business debts. What does it mean? Take an example. For example, the bank loan is 20,000 riyal. And at the time of liquidation of an LLC, what does it mean? It means, let's say after 3 or 4 years, partners they didn't go well with each other and they are about to close their LLC, their company. Now at that time of liquidation, let's say after selling all the assets of the business, they get 5,000 riyal. Now, there are three partners to the company, partner A, B, and C, and all three of them had a equal share. That means, let's say 10,000, 10,000, and 10,000 riyal. Now, at the time of liquidation, 15,000 riyals are still there as a bank loan, which they need to repay. So, what they will do, they will pay it in equal proportion at this time because they had the equal share. So that means 5,000 would be paid by partner A, 5,000 by partner B, and 5,000 by partner C. If one partner has more share in the business, his liability would be more in terms of like proportion. But keep it in mind, there is one thing. As per the bankruptcy law, now what is a bankruptcy law? Bankrupt is a person by law or by court, it would be declared that that person doesn't have any money or any property in his name that can be sold to pay the loans. For example, in our case, for instance, the example which we have taken, partner A, B, and C, there were three partners in an LLC. Now, partner B and partner C becomes bankrupt. That means God ordered the bank that they cannot recover any amount from these two people because they don't have any money, nor they have any property in their name. So they are declared bankrupt. So when they are declared bankrupt, partner A would be liable. Now, as it is an LLC, a limited liability company, what is the case here? Partner A invested 10,000 riyal in that business. Partner B invested 10,000 riyal. Partner C invested 10,000 riyal. Bank loan is 20,000 real, 5,000 real they got after selling the assets of the business. Now, partner B and partner C are unable to pay any amount. Now, in that case, partner A is only liable to pay 10,000 real bank loan. So he will not pay the full 15,000 real. In fact, he will pay up to the maximum of his share, which is 10,000 real in this case. So that's a good thing. That means partners have limited liability. You cannot ask the partner to pay more than the share which he has in that business. What is a challenge in a limited liability company? If you see the last hexagon, the dark brown one, you will see it says that all partners have the right to participate in management. What does it mean? It means, for instance, there are 10 limited partners in an LLC. Two partners, they have more share in that business. They invested more in that business. And the other eight, they have small investment in that business. So do they have a different decision making power? No. In an LLC, all the limited partners have same decision making power. That means all of them would participate in the management of that business. One partner cannot say that as I have invested more in that business, I will have more decision making power. No, that is not the case with LLCs. For example, one partner invested 10,000 real, the other partner invested 5,000 real. The partner who invested 10,000 real, he cannot say that as my investment or my share is more, my decision making power is more about that business. No, that's not the case. So the majority of partners should agree or should have a consensus in order to, let's say, decide about the business. For example, they are about to launch a new product. So majority of the partners should have a consensus on it. So this is a challenge. That means all the partners or majority of the partners should be on one page in order to decide about some matter or some issues. Okay, the third type of a business which we are going to discuss is a general partnership. Now, general partnerships are not that common. You will know about it in a meanwhile when I will discuss the characteristics of a general partnership. In a general partnership, you need to have two or more general partners. If you see the first hexagon, what does it mean? It means if you want to incorporate a general partner company, that general partnership would have two or more partners. There is no maximum cap for it. Now, what are the conditions for it, or what are the characteristics of a general partnership company? In a general partnership, partners can be held for all the business debts. What does it mean? It means in a general partnership, if there are five general partners, all of them or one of them can be held responsible for the business debts. For instance, take the same example. Okay, there are three partners. They invested 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 real in a general partnership. So they become a general partners in that company. Now, the company is going into a liquidation. Now, when the company is going into a liquidation, they sold the assets of the business. After selling the assets of the business, they got 5,000 real, let's say. And the total bank loan is 20,000 real. So 15,000 real are still remaining. Now, if all three general partners are solvent, solvent means they have the money and they have some property, so they would be paying it in their proportion. But let's say we assume that partner B and C becomes bankrupt, so they are not able to pay any amount. Now, how much partner A will pay? In this case, partner A will pay the remaining bank loan, that is 15,000 real. Why? He just invested 10,000 real in it, but this is not an LLC. This is a general partnership. In a general partnership, your liability is unlimited. You may be asked as a partner to pay the whole business debt, and for that you are personally liable. That means even your personal assets or your personal property can be sold for it. So this means general partnership has more risk for the partners. That is why they are not very common now. Entrepreneurs, they tend to like LLCs if they are going for a partnership company. Or there is another type of a company which is known as limited partnership company. Now, in a limited partnership company, normally you would see many companies written as, for example, there is a marker company named Pentel Limited Company, or Pepsi Limited Company, private limited company. So there are companies which are in a partnership and they are registered as a limited companies, limited partnerships. Now, what are the important characteristics of limited company, LTD or private limited company? Remember, it is a blend of general partnership and LLCs. What does it mean? It means in a limited company, LTD, you will find two type of partners. The first type of partner would be general partners, and the second type of partners are limited partners. So in an LTD, for example, Pepsi has 10 partners in their company. Two of them are general partners, and eight of them are, let's say, limited partners. So general partners would have some investment in that business, limited partners would also have some investment in that business. But what is the difference? The difference is that limited partners in a limited company would have a limited liability for the business debts, whereas general partners, they would have unlimited liability, same like general partnership. So what does it mean? If in a company there are two general partners and let's say eight limited partners, limited partners liability will be limited up to their share in that business, whereas general partners may be held accountable or responsible for unlimited liability, unlimited loan from the bank. Now, what is the good thing? The good thing is general partners are the only ones who will decide about the business. They are the ones who have the decision making power. They are the active members, in other words. Whereas limited partners, they do not have the power to decide about the business. So if in a company there are 10 partners, out of which 8 are limited partners, that means only two general partners who are who have the unlimited liability, they are the ones who will decide about the business, not the 8 limited partners of that limited company. Keep it in mind. Limited LTD companies, LTD is the abbreviation which is used for a limited company or a limited partnership. They have two type of partners with them, limited as well as general partners. Their liability is different, but at the same time, decision making power is all with the general partners. If you compare it with LLC had only limited partners and all limited partners had the same power. Whereas limited partnership, the power resides with the general partners. Okay, there are some other type of companies as well. So uh, there is one correction here. This sole proprietorship should not be here. It is the one which we discussed, that is the one. Actually, it's a joint stock company. So this one is a joint stock company. The hexagon on the previous slide, the joint stock company, it should be here. So you can just correct it. It is owned by shareholders. And what are the shareholders? Now, uh, remember, remember that when you talk about a joint stock company, in a joint stock company, you would have shareholders with you. Now, what is a share? First of all, you should be clear about the share. Let's say you have some LLC or a limited company, you can actually change it into a joint stock company. Joint stock companies are actually listed companies. Now, what does a listed company means? A listed company means that that company is listed in the stock exchange of that country or that region. For example, the most popular stock exchange in the world are New York Stock Exchange, Shanghai Stock Exchange is there, Hong Kong Stock Exchange is there, and in Oman we have Oman Stock Exchange as well. So there are companies listed on it. What are those companies? Those companies can be LLCs or limited companies. But now, for getting more money, they are not looking at the banks. In fact, they are collecting that money from the shareholders. So what they do, they will sell the shares. For example, one company has 100,000 shares. That is the declared shares for that company based on the capital of that company. Now, they will issue the shares. Remember, no company will be issuing more than 49% shares. Why? They need to hold 51% shares with them in order to have the ownership of that company. So they would be the one who would be deciding about it. So if you have a joint stock company, you listed your company on the stock exchange of that country, in that case you will keep 51% shares with you so that you are the owner. You will remain the owner of that company. The other 49% shares, you will sell them in that stock exchange. In a stock exchange, there will be people who will be buying and selling your shares. So if your company is doing a good business, the share price would be going high. A share, consider it like a document in which you would have some price, face value for it. Let's say you buy one share of a company for 10 real. Maybe in a month the company is progressing or getting more profit, the share value will go high. So maybe after 5 or 6 months, you will sell it to someone at the price of, let's say, 15 real or 18 real per share. So you will get the profit. And the other person who has that share will become a shareholder. Now, if he keeps that share till the end of the year, he will get a profit from the company. Companies at the annual general meetings, AGMs, these joint stock companies, they will declare the profit, if there is a profit, to be distributed to the shareholders as well. So as per the number of shares, you will get a profit. Or in a stock exchange, every day, people will be buying and selling shares depending upon the progress of a country, of the progress of that company. Now, in Oman Stock Exchange, most of the companies which are listed are from oil and gas sector. So, if that company is making a good profit or the economic condition is good, the share price would be higher. But if there is an economic crisis, then the share price would be going low. In that case, people would not be selling, or there are no people willing to buy it. So in that case, there will be no trading going on in the stock exchange, or you would say the business activity would be less. So that is a joint stock company. So remember, joint stock company is owned by shareholders, and at the same time, shareholders also have a limited liability. What does it mean? It means their liability, if there is a bank debt and the company is liquidating, that joint stock company is liquidating, then what will happen? They just have to pay the nominal value of the share. Nominal value means this is the starting value of that share. So their liability is, as a shareholder, your liability will be only to pay the nominal value per share. Remember one thing which is written in the third hexagonal for this slide: an artificial legal person created by law which has its own independent legal status. Remember, a joint stock company is something which has which is a separate entity, same like other companies. Now there is a holding company as well. I will go through it quickly. Holding companies mean there are more than, of course, one company, and it is not a type of a company actually. Actually, what happens, one there is one parent company, and it could have more than one child companies or subsidiaries. So what happens? Actually, the holding company will hold and control the amount of stocks of other companies. Stocks mean they are the one who would be looking at the shares of the other company. So these are holding company will originate from the joint stock company. So there will be a joint stock company which is the parent company, and it could have some subsidiary companies. For example, Aquafina is a subsidiary company of Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola is the parent company. Aquafina would be the subsidiary company of Coca-Cola, or a child company of Coca-Cola. So the holding company is Coca-Cola. Remember one thing about the child company or the subsidiary company. The subsidiary company can maintain their separate position. What does it mean? It means the holding company is controlling the shares of the subsidiary company, but the management of that company, the internal control of that company remains with that subsidiary company. What does it mean? Coca-Cola will not interfere into the matters of Aquafina. Aquafina will have their own management, they will have their own staff. Their staff is not the staff of Coca-Cola. So you must keep that in mind. Then there is a type of a company which is known as a joint venture company. Remember, a joint venture is a strategic alliance between two or more companies. What does it mean? What is the meaning of a strategic alliance? Now, strategic alliance means for a long term. Long term means for more than 1 year, two companies would share their objectives. Not only objectives, they will also share their mission with each other. So alliances are created when two or more companies would have a same mission for, let's say, 5 years. So that would be a joint venture. Remember, when that joint venture finishes, let's say after 5 years, both companies would be separate and they can have a different mission from each other. But for that period of time, for that 5 years, mission means missions would translate into their objectives. The objectives of the two companies would map on each other. So what happens in a joint venture? The companies would be working on some specific project, and for that project they would have the same mission and objectives. Now remember, In a joint venture, the companies which are or the entities which are doing that joint venture, they will not have a separate entity for that period of time. They don't have their own name for that period of time. In fact, they would be they will be working as a joint company. So joint venture is actually a venture, and when it finishes, the legal form of this company actually disintegrates. So there are some further readings which you can do from this link. You can use that link for some of the further readings. In the next module, I will be going through the tax law in Oman and the bankruptcy laws. So please go through these slides, please go through this one, and we will be in touch, inshallah, through the Blackboard, and on the forum, you can actually post your comments. Thank you.